The following segment is sponsored by Maine State Music Theatre.
Well, the summer is moving right along, and that means, how about this? They are talking musicals and plays with the Maine State Music Theatre because it is in full swing. The season just finished, of course, their first show, South Pacific. We're in the middle of course, show number 2. That's Funny Girl. Joining us to talk about Funny Girl and also another musical coming up in just a bit, White Christmas, is one of the actresses who started many shows up there, Karis Leos. Karis, thanks for coming on.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
First of all, before we get into some of your history when it comes to starring in some of these shows, let's talk about Funny Girl. That's the one that's going on right now. Folks have the opportunity to see a couple more shows with it. And the first thing, when you think Funny Girl, a lot of people think Barbra Streisand. So
Right.
You're in this show, and talk about what this story is about, just in case people don't know what it's about.
Well, Funny Girl tells the story of Fanny Brice, who is a very famous musical comedian. People usually know it from the movie that Barbra Streisand did, but it was originally a stage show that she was in. It takes place at the turn of the century, early 1900s, just about her growing up in New York and working the music hall circuit and becoming a big star. And that's basically what the show is about. It's full of fantastic songs that people have heard of before. And our star, Jenna Rosen, is absolutely incredible.
Songs such as?
People, Don't Rain on My Parade are the two big ones.
First of all, what is the character that you play in this show? And how does Funny Girl rank with some of the shows that you performed in the past?
Well, I play a very good friend of Mrs. Brice, Fanny's mother, and her name is Mrs. Straykosh. She's just one of the neighborhood gossipy ladies. It's a funny little character feature, which is quite often what I do. I'm having a blast, just goofing around up there with Sue Cella, who plays Mrs. Brice, Fanny's mom. I would say this really is a fantastic show. It's one of those shows, I never get tired of hearing the music every night. It has a fantastic overture, like old school overture, and it's exciting when it starts every night. And honestly, Jenna is worth the price of admission alone. She's so fantastic. I can't imagine anyone walking away without thinking that she's going to be a huge star. So.
Yeah, and this is going on until July 13th.
July
and then we have
13th.
another show starting,
Yes.
which, by the way, I just got tickets for because I can't wait to see
good.
this. Because who doesn't want to celebrate Christmas in July, right?
It's actually a great idea, especially with this warm weather we've been having. It sounds like a really good escape to me. I love White Christmas. Absolutely love it. I'm playing Martha Watson, who is the woman who helps the general run the inn. And it's a part that I've done before. I absolutely love it. This is a fantastic old school, huge tap numbers, great big belty songs. It's a fantastic show.
Yeah, for again, the folks that have not seen White Christmas before, I don't know why they haven't.
Well, how
because
could they
it
not
really
have
is
seen
a
that
tradition
movie?
for so many families to watch
Yes.
the movie
Yes.
during the holiday season. Now they can go see the live performance
Yes.
of White Christmas, which again has just incredible, music from Irving Berlin.
Yes.
For the folks that don't know what it's about, even though I know, tell the folks the storyline.
Oh, the story is about a group of soldiers who, at the very beginning of the show, you meet them at the end, toward the end of the war, World War II. And then the general, who had been their commanding officer, they run into him later, and he is now running a small inn in Vermont. And the inn is struggling a bit. And a couple of the soldiers have become well-known entertainers who appear on the Ed Sullivan Show and do nightclub performances. And they decide to come to the inn to put on a new show to help the general out. So it really is, to me, a journey about that character, General Waverly. He starts out, he's a career military man. And he's having to deal with the civilian world, and things don't always go as planned. And he has to accept help from people, which is difficult for him. So it's a sentimental musical. It's visually beautiful. It's a heartwarming story.
And of course, we can talk about the music all we want, especially White Christmas. I love Sisters. But
Yes.
I'm watching the video, and I've seen the movie a million times, but I've never
Yes.
seen the show live, so I can't wait till I go. But look at the sets. It's snowing on the set. I mean, it just looks like an
Yes.
incredible show.
Yes, it is fantastic. The costumes are gorgeous. There might be some snow. Yeah, it's going to be pretty fun for people, especially in the middle of summer, I think. Get you
Yes,
ready for
exactly.
December.
Yeah, maybe Santa Claus will make a visit there. You never
You
know.
never know.
Yeah, you never know. Hey, let's talk about your career now when it comes
Okay.
to especially Maine State Music Theater. You what haven't you played in shows? I'm looking at what 9 to 5, Gypsy, 42nd Street, Legally Blonde. I mean, for goodness sakes, I mean you've almost done it all, right?
I feel like I have ticked off most of my bucket list roles at Maine State Music Theater. I think my first show here was 1998. I did a production of Nonsense 2, and then I came back in 2006 and did The Full Monty. I've done that twice here now. Um, I've done everything from the funny little walk-on character parts to leading ladies like, Hello Dolly and Gypsy. So I really have been given wonderful opportunities up here. It's always really fulfilling to come work up at Maine State. We work with such an incredible group of professionals, from the front of house people to the crews to my fellow performers. It's always just a great joy to be here.
We're asking people right now because we're all over the place when it comes to social media.
Hmm.
We're asking, what is the best live show you have ever seen? We want you to comment while you're watching. And Karis, we want you to comment too. Okay, first of all, what's your favorite live show that you've seen? You've been a spectator to watch.
Theater.
Yeah.
My favorite show ever was the first one I ever saw on Broadway. My parents took me when I was a kid to see 42nd Street with Tammy Grimes and Leroy Reams. And I have always felt like I was born in the wrong time. I really do love those old musicals. I'm kind of a brassy broad. This is kind of my bread and butter role. And I have had
I
the
get
honor
that,
of
by the way.
Does it come through? I have had the pleasure of playing Maggie Jones several times in 42nd Street. But I remember as a kid, I always knew what I wanted to do. And I was on the edge of my seat because 42nd Street was everything what I thought a musical should be. I mean, there were huge dance numbers, and, there were big belty singers and these torch songs and a huge cast. And it was so exciting. And I've never forgotten it.
All right, now here's the other question.
Okay.
What has been your favorite show to perform it?
Oh my gosh. That's hard. I get asked that a lot. I usually say the one I'm currently doing, but I do have some favorites. I have done a show called Always Patsy Cline probably a half dozen times. I've done it a couple of times here. We also did a concert version on a Monday night when the theater was dark. And it's a two-hander, and I play a character named Louise Seeger. And I think it's probably my favorite role I've ever played. It's like the first time I read it, it's like I understood and I knew who this person was. So I felt like there was a lot of me in there. So playing her is just comfortable and fun. And I really, really love it.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier too. And by the way, again, we're
Yes.
asking what's the best live show you've ever seen? For me, I saw this in New Orleans way back
Okay.
in the 90s because I'm a huge sports fan. I love baseball. I
Yep.
got to tell you, when the tour of Damn Yankees came out
Damn
with
Yan-
Jerry Lewis
Who did-
playing the devil,
Oh my
it,
gosh.
it was one of the funniest shows. And of course, because I love baseball, I love the fact that the Washington Senators were horrible. They sang the song "You Gotta Have Heart."
Yes.
Lola, whatever Lola
It's a
wants.
great
I also
show.
played in the pit orchestra for that. But that was my favorite to watch, I think, just because of the whole thing. That I love theater. I love all the songs. And of course, I love baseball. But probably to perform it, I played trombone and I played in the pit orchestra a lot.
Uh-huh.
As I love a Music Man. I mean, that's such great music in
Oh,
Music
it's
Man
fantastic.
with 76 trombones and
Yep.
Chapoopy, just awesome.
Yep. My friend David Jeromo, who is playing General Waverly in White Christmas, he's also playing Flo Ziegfeld in Funny Girl right now. He and I did Music Man here together and played the mayor. He played Mayor Shin and I played
Oh,
Eulalie,
we
his
got
wife.
trouble.
What? Oh,
I
we
said,
got
oh, we
trouble in
got
River
trouble.
City. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, that's a fantastic show too.
Yeah, I went and saw Music Man at Maine State Music Theatre too. So great.
Oh, you
Hey,
did?
one thing I
Okay.
wanted to ask you: you're
Yeah.
in Funny Girl right now. Then you're
Yes.
going to be in White Christmas. I mean,
Yes.
what, like 3 or 4 days later? And I
Yes.
know you're a professional. I know you've been doing this for a long time, but it absolutely
Yes.
blows my mind how you can memorize everything in Funny Girl, and then at the same time, it's going to kind of overlap with you, right?
Yes.
For
It
at
is.
least memorizing lines for White Christmas, right?
Well, right
How do you
now,
do
well,
that?
it's doing double duty. It is, I've done all four in a row, which is really, really hard. I'm doing three in a row, which is also difficult. You come in, and summer stock, you really have to do your homework before you get here. You start learning stuff before you get here. And then as soon as we open one show, so we open on a Thursday night, we opened Funny Girl on Thursday night. We have two shows the next day on Friday. Saturday morning, you start rehearsal for the next show. So, for instance, yesterday I did a matinee of Funny Girl, and then I had an hour and 15-minute break, and then went straight to White Christmas rehearsals.
Geez, when
So,
do you take a break?
yeah, I know. They let us eat, imagine. It is a lot for your brain, but it's exciting. I mean, I love what I do and I'm getting to do it all the time. So it is pretty great. And the same thing will happen with White Christmas. We will close Funny Girl on a Saturday. We will immediately start teching White Christmas. It'll open on Thursday, and Saturday morning I'll start rehearsals for Beautiful. So you have to really compartmentalize. You got to let what happened in rehearsal go when you arrive at the theater to do the show, so you can get in the mindset for, what am I doing, who am I being right now. So you kind of have to have little sections to keep all of that straight in your brain.
Yeah, we're talking with Karis Leo. She's an actress that's performing right now, Funny Girl, and pretty soon White Christmas at Maine State Music Theater. Here's something else I want to ask you. I go,
Okay.
you're like living the dream. I mean, this is something you always wanted to be when you were a little kid.
Yes. Yep.
And you're getting paid to do it. How cool
It
is
is.
that?
It is incredible. I am grateful every single day, and I really mean that. There are days when I'm exhausted. This is a tough schedule, but then I think of all of the other things I could be doing, and I have to count myself pretty lucky. I get to play for a living, and there's nothing better.
I mean, that's what an awesome gig, right? So,
Yeah,
especially you're living your. Do you have to pinch yourself sometimes and go, wait, are they really paying me to do
I
this?
know.
I got to do this.
Sometimes
I
we
got to
do.
go and do this on a stage in front of people.
Yep. You meet people who don't think what we do is a real job, and it's like, oh, it is a job, and it's a hard job, but a job that I love. So
And
every
the
day.
fact that when you watch from the seats and you see you guys not just singing, but dancing, singing, having dialogue. I can't
Yep.
even walk and chew gum at the same time. I don't know how you guys can do that.
It is a lot. Whenever I do a play, I actually really enjoy doing plays, and get to do them several times a year. And I always feel like I'm getting away with something because I don't, it's like, wait, I didn't have to learn any music for this. I just have to talk and walk. Yeah. It feels like a bit of a holiday.
Yeah. Now, when I, of course, anchor our morning show, we're on for 4.5 hours. We talk a lot.
Yes.
But it's funny when I go out, I'm like, let's say I'm at a restaurant or a bar, and I start talking a lot. I have to talk loud. It kind of strains my voice, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll get hoarse
Oh, of
like
course.
in a jiffy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
talk about how do you keep your voice in shape so you can continue to sing? I mean, because when you're singing, I mean, I know you're using your diaphragm and everything,
Yeah.
but you still got to go up through the throat and
Yep.
blare it out to the crowd. How do you keep that voice in shape? How do you keep from getting hoarse? Is it a lot of tea? Is it a lot of me, me, mama, moos, or what?
All of the above. All of the above. When I'm a belter, and I've always had a big voice. And when I was young, it just came out. I didn't even think about it. Well, I'm not so young anymore. I got to think about it. So I get up in the morning and I warm up slowly. I have several, vocal warm ups that I do that help. I mean, when you're singing, you're using muscles. You wouldn't just, if you're lifting weights or running or playing a sport or dancing, you stretch, and you have to do the same thing with your voice. Um, it's interesting when we sing, because we're taught to sing a certain way, you're subconsciously thinking of where you're placing your voice, but we don't always do that when we talk. So I, like you, find the same thing happens. If I'm working a lot and need to save my voice, I don't go out a lot, because if I'm out with friends and I'm somewhere loud, like a restaurant or wherever, and I'm talking and laughing, that is harder on my voice than what I'm doing at work, because you're not thinking about placement and you're not thinking about volume. You're just living your life and talking loud and having fun, and that can be really hard on your voice. So lots of warm liquids and always warming up
Yeah, there
is
you go.
really important.
Let's talk about, you've been, of course, with Maine State Music Theater. You said since the '90s.
My
Let's
first
talk
show,
about let's talk about what keeps you coming back from war. What makes this organization so special, especially performing at that theater on the campus of Bowdoin College in Brunswick.
Well, first of all, it's got to be the community here, the community of performers, as I mentioned earlier, and the crew, the top-notch crew that they get every year. The staff, Stephanie Duple and Kurt L. Clark, are dear friends. I've really created a family for myself here. There are people in the community when I'm out and about at the grocery store or whatever that recognize me and, come up and say how much they love coming to the theater. And if they, people that will say, oh, we saw your name, so we got tickets. And that, I mean, there's no better feeling than that. They feel like they know me because I've been coming here so long, and I've made lifelong friends here. And I mean, come on, Maine is gorgeous. I always tell people, I don't normally look for work, or tell my agent I don't normally look for anything in the summer, because this is where I want to be every summer. And I always jokingly tell people it's my paid vacation, because it's stunning here, and this community is really supportive of the theater, and that's why it thrives the way it does. So yeah, there's no downside to being in Maine and working here in Brunswick. I love it.
Yeah, Karis, let's talk about how important the arts are. Whether it's, I mean, I play trombone, so I played in a band, my entire life almost. And when it comes to theater, especially at the grassroots level, when it comes to community theaters, and when it comes to school programs too, because a lot of times they're on the chopping blocks first when it's time to cut school budgets. So I guess how important is that for schools and actually community theaters and everything else like that?
Well, the arts are important because they tap into the human side of us, I mean, and on every level. And arts programs in schools, and people who take their kids to, theater camp, the ultimate goal is not necessarily to turn out a bunch of actors. I mean, theater games and performing teach confidence, and I think tap into people's empathy. And when you're watching a performance or you're in something, it's important that people see their lives and their friends and their families represented. That happens through the arts, whether it's music or painting or theater. And it's really, really important, I think, particularly in our public school systems.
Yeah, we've been talking with Karis Leos, actress with Maine State Music Theater. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, so much fun. I can't wait to see you in White Christmas. I'm not going to be able to see Funny Girl, but I'll be up there probably singing White Christmas and just having a great time.
We'll have a sing along at the end. You can join in.
I'll be just so loud. You're going to be, who's the guy up there in row 10? Okay, quiet down a little bit, okay?
And if we need a sub in the pit, we'll call you for trumpet. Are you
there
trombone?
You go. If you need a rogue trombone player to show up, right?
All right.
So again, Funny Girls all goes all the way through the 13th. White Christmas starts July 17th. Again, just Christmas in July. Make your plans to check out there. And one other musical we have to talk about is Beautiful, the Carole King story. And are you going to be in this one too or not?
Yes, I'm actually playing Jeannie Klein, Carol's mother.
Okay. So we'll talk about more on that in the future, but that's the other show. So 4 fantastic musicals coming to Maine State Music Theater. Of course, we just had South Pacific. That was another great hit. So thank you again so much for talking with us. And again, for more information, you can go to msmt.org for the latest on performances, ticket prices, and also some of the concerts that they have there and some of the children's theater programs as well. So again, Karis, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Geez, I think I thanked you like 4 times.
That's okay. Thank you again.
The preceding segment was sponsored by Maine State Music Theatre.